All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Welcome to the Inner Circle live pre-New York session. I'm your host for this morning's session, Benny Allen, along with my awesome partner, Mr. Ryan Carthage. And we're definitely happy and grateful for each and every one of you being here with us this morning as we take a look at the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we could take advantage of in the Forex market. So, without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions, grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. So if everybody can hear me, please drop me a huge one in the chat, as I did have a lot of technical issues this morning. I appreciate you all hanging in there for me. All right, I see the ones coming in, so I am all good now. Thank you so much. And with each and every morning, we want to make sure that we take massive action, making sure that we are accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing you for any outcome. Let's center ourselves in body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading. Let's trust in our education, our strategy, trading skills, and intuition. And always imagine your trade successfully materializing. Obey your trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed and fear. And let's make sure that we are never looking back once your trade has commenced, right? So I hope everybody is all set and ready to go this morning and take massive action. So let's get right to it, as we are running a little bit behind. So posted in the community, just some notes here that Swiss National Bank's Jordan inflation forecast faces upward risk, potential impact on the Swiss franc. So SMB Chairman Thomas Jordan expressed a cautious view regarding inflation forecasts. Jordan noted a small upward risk, right? It's always in the language, right? A small upward risk to the central bank's inflation forecast. And this is important because we know that the central bank, the Swiss National Bank, was the first out of the gate to cut rates, right? And so that Swissy has been taking a pounding as of late. Jordan highlighted that the natural rate of interest is vital for the monetary policy's decisions, might increase in the coming years. And so as far as the monetary policy implications, the natural interest rate rises, the monetary policy stance could become more accommodating than planned. The impact on the currency, Jordan suggests that the rise in inflation risk could lead to a weaker Swiss franc, which we know that they have no problem doing, right? So, which could lead to foreign exchange interventions. So, those of you who have been with us for a while, we know that the Swiss National Bank can step in and counteract the weakening of the Swiss franc by engaging in selling foreign currency reserves, right? So, we always watch the level of foreign currency reserves for the Swiss National Bank. So, the financial analysis, George's remarks indicated cautious stance by the SMB regarding inflation, with a recognition of possible upward risk. The acknowledgement of a possible increase in the natural rate of interest suggests a need for flexibility in the monetary policy. A weaker Swiss franc can result in rising inflation risk, prompting the SMB to consider foreign exchange intervention to maintain stability, right? And so we'll take a look at the Swissy pairs, because it played right into our lap with some of our setups and things that we've been looking for. The notes came from this main article here, so I'll also post this in the chat. That came from Reuters, right? Got to be on top of the data, right? We always say the fundamentals are what drives the market. So I'll post this article here for everybody to read. And of course, we have the quick summary that we created inside the community, which is what I just read. So that is very important. In regards to the DXY, the dollar index held above 105 on Thursday after jumping 0.5% in the previous session, underpinned by surging treasury yields, right? We spoke about that yesterday. Amid weak demand for a recent bond auction and growing expectations that U.S. interest rates could remain higher for longer, a Federal Reserve official suggested this week that the central bank could consider raising rates further if inflation surges. Data on Tuesday also showed that U.S. consumer confidence unexpectedly improved in May, while investors look ahead to revised U.S. GDP figures on Thursday and the highly anticipated U.S. PCE price index report on Friday. Markets now see December as the potential start of the easing cycle, much later than previous forecasts and a September rate cut. For a September rate cut, the dollar is hovering at a 2-week highs against a basket of other major currencies. Right, so we got a boost in the dollar, and as a result, right, of the DXY moving up, if we come and we take a look at things like the S&P, okay, we see a bit of a correction, right? As a result, we see a bit of a correction going on. Things like the S&P and like the Dow as a result of the bond yield situation. Okay, so just want to double check my charts on that. So we'll take a look at some of the other indices as well this morning. Let me make sure that everybody's good. Again, I apologize for getting started a little bit late. I had some major technical issues this morning, but got them corrected. Never know when those are going to pop up. Make sure everybody has control over their microphones. All right. All right. Ryan, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, bro. I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good, man. Got the tech issues out of the way, so that makes me a lot happier. It was a little scary there for a minute, but
Oh man.
yeah, so we are good. What's going on the fundamental front with you, man? Anything that you picked up on overnight?
Um, what was I gonna say? A professor from Columbia, who was in the running for governor of the BLJ, did an interview yesterday talking about interest rates and what could potentially happen. And he foresees the BLJ increasing rates twice this year, um, ultimately getting to 50 basis points, a 0.5%. So that was an interesting read. I'll send that to you guys. Um, and then I was reading what Governor Jordan said. So just those two pieces.
For sure. Two rate hikes out of Japan. That's gonna be
Yeah,
interesting.
it'll be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. That'll definitely cause the market to correct. Any idea as to maybe you said it and I just missed it. Oh, into when?
Still looking at July as the
Okay.
first. They're look because their meeting is on the 14th, 13th
Hmm.
and 14th of June. So they're looking at potentially holding there, but making tweaks to their bond purchases, right? So QT, and then July being that first of the two.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate it, right? That timing is everything. And then
Yeah,
we still have the possibility of them stepping in and intervene, right? On
correct.
the run. So yeah, so we'll continue to watch it. I appreciate it. Anything else? That's it.
That's all I came across so far,
All right. I appreciate it.
no doubt.
All right. Yeah. So today, right, like we mentioned when we were talking about the DXY, we've got preliminary GDP Q over Q, right? So quarter over quarter. US unemployment claims coming out. And then we've got preliminary GDP price index quarter over quarter. So, and then we've got pending home sales in the United States month over month. And then at 9:30 out of China, we've got manufacturing PMI. So that's what's on the docket. But that main news, right? Uh, the rhetoric coming out of the SMB, right, kind of moved the market in regards to the Swiss franc. We got the correction here with the rising bond yields. got price to move down on the S&P, but this is a key level, right? This 52.38, we want to see as our daily stochastic is moving back into the buy zone. Do we hold here? Past resistance becoming future support, everybody. Do we hold and continue, or do we break that level? That's going to be interesting as we see the DXY is making a slight correction this morning back to the downside. But for the S&P 500 on this 4-hour, right, this move after this trend line break, that 52.38, I say, is key because we are starting to get some alignment. So while we saw the correction as a result of the higher treasury yields after the lackluster bond auction, we are sitting at a key level of support right at a 4-hour sweet spot, right? So we want to keep an eye on this. This is how we had it marked up for the push down. So I'm going to pull this out now here on the S&P. And this one should be quite interesting going forward. And I am just going to trim out here. And then we will take it out the low, just like that. Okay, and I'm going to keep an eye on this price action at this level. So again, a quick look at the daily, where we could be finding some support. Okay, here. All right, DXY correcting back to the downside a little bit. Today, to start out the morning at least, right? New York hasn't opened yet, but this level, we'll see. If we don't break and close below this zone and we hold, we could be looking for, another drive up, right? And this will be a higher low if it holds, right? And so we know that we have resistance here, a couple levels, right there. So that and bring it down. So right there, link that down. So let's see if we hold at 52.38 in that zone. All right. Any questions on the S&P right now? All right. Let's be patient with it. Let's be super patient as that's a pretty strong candle to the downside. We've got some wick action going on right here, but we know on a daily it takes a while for that swing low to form and confirm. We'll see if we get the building blocks here on the 4 as well, right? So you can see you already have it starting to form on your 1 hour, right? There. So we'll see what happens with this S&P 500. Moving over, taking a look at the Dow. As we can see, price is kind of doing the same thing. We're coming right back to the area that we broke out from, to the upside, right? Longer term, don't know if we'll get that correction. I don't know what can possibly happen in the markets, right, to force that move lower now, but we'll continue to keep an eye on it. But right now, we focus on this key support, right, where that last consolidation took place, right? So we're going right back to test that 37,833. You got a double top here. Okay. I don't know if any of you caught that. Okay. Don't get any better than that. That 40,000 level is key. Okay. So you can see we had it highlighted before in a different color. And you can see that price keeps reacting at that level now for the second time. And we're moving down. Okay. So we hit the all-time highs and we keep coming right back down. So are we going to be trapped in the range there for a while? Not sure. Stochastic on the daily is back in the buy zone. Do we hit 37,833 and form a low? We shall see. We shall see. Coming down to the 4-hour. 80-20. Doesn't matter the asset class. Okay. Doesn't matter the asset class. There's your double top. This last leg up, right in the 80-20 zone, back down. Okay, there's the 37,833, still within the AB boundary. 4-hour stochastic is back in the buy zone. So we'll see if the momentum will slow at this level, right? That'll be a deep A6 retracement at that point. Any questions on the US 30?
No, sir.
All right, we'll take a look at the NASDAQ. Okay. We see our daily new AB boundary, prices turning over, stochastics in the sell zone. Okay. So we know if we get a new B boundary, we've got a natural level of resistance there. Okay. In order for us to get that B boundary, a swing high had to form. Okay. We know that. Price is turning over and correcting. We'll see. This here right in this zone, this is a pretty strong level. There was a previous area of consolidation that we broke to the downside, then came up through it. We'll see what happens when we get to this 18,348. If we get any type of a pop back to the upside for maybe a shallow retracement. As we know, the market has been running pretty good, right? What do I have here on the for the NAS? I was looking for an 80-20 swing there. Let me, I don't know what happened to my levels. So let me just run them again. My fibs, I mean. Probably just ran them off that level that I have marked. Yes. And back up to the upside there. There we go. So here we are. All right. 4-hour 80-20. Moving to the downside. 18,970. Almost identical, pretty much identical to that US 30. Double top, move back to the downside. Okay. So you've got 18,348 is a level if I'm buying somewhere in this zone. If it continues to decline, right? That we may be looking for price to settle and create, right, a low and then maybe a continuation from there. But that's a clean 80-20 there. Yeah. That's right in the zone, right? So for those of you who play trade indices, right, good setups there. Okay, so we look for, continuations, pullbacks, and continuations to the downside, right? That's what we want to see because we want a low price to buy anyway. All right, so did we get what's that, like an 8.6 off of this? Yeah. So you get an 8.6 coming back to that level, and we're moving down. Questions on the NAS 100?
No, sir.
Hi, Benny. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. And you?
Great.
I have a question on US 30. Can you take a look at the 30 minute no 15 minutes? It has
Look at the
82.
15.
Yeah.
Okay. US 30. Donette, US 30, 80-20 on the 1 hour and the 30.
15.
All right. And the 15, she was talking about the US 30. So you want to look at this 15 right here? There we go. Yep. This one right here.
This is NASDAQ.
Oh, you wanted US 30. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
My apologies on that. I misheard you. Okay. So 1 hour here. Okay. And then we'll put the 15-minute on. That's what you're looking at here?
Yeah.
Awesome. 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 All right. All right. So, right, put some sevens in the chat for everybody, right, for identifying that. Great work. You all are seeing it. That's the key, is seeing it, right? And then, right, the next step is being brave enough to take the setup, okay, and living with the results. Okay, that's the key. So we're now moving down. So if you want to use additional confirmation, trend lines, you could do that. Right, down. Okay. Levels. And the cool thing about these indices is oftentimes they mirror each other, right? So those could set you up, you know, to bag, right? A lot of points on this. So this is right moving. So let me just make it clear, because when you run these the smart analytics, it puts all the extra fibs on there. So run it like that. And we'll see if we can get price to settle down before hitting that extension. Right. So we'll just look for, right, trend line break and a move up. Okay. You're looking for that type of wave, either on, the 15. If you trade out the 15 and you want to drop that down to the 5 and look for that break, you could do that as well. Okay. But then we could look for this upside target. So great work, everybody. Let's see if we can get things to settle down. I think so. Okay. That's it. That's it. Any other questions on that one?
All the way down to the 5 minute, it has 80-20s, 30, 15, 5. Interesting.
Wow. So we're getting some good alignment. All right. So let's do it. Let's do it. Let's take it down to the 5. Okay. And you all can see how it is a pattern-driven market. Look at that price action. right? And since we pushed right through that zone, right, just use some additional confirmation on that. And since she likes trading the right now money, I could dig it. A lot of ways to skin a cat, right? You'll figure out exactly what time frame works best for you. Sure. There we go. See if we can get that price to reverse. So, like our members in the group identified, right? Reset, me too. I get it. In and out of the market, right? You could be just as effective. Depends on your lifestyle, right? And what you could do, and if you could be in front of the computer. Some people say, hey, I'll look for one setup on the 5 a day, and I'm good. You could do well with that. Okay, smaller time frame, you're tightening that stops tighter, which allows you to trade, at a little bit of a higher lot size, same risk, right? Percentage but higher lot size, you're in and out. I can dig it. All right. I can dig it. So if you're trading off that 5 minute, I know Reese trades off the 30. Right. So the setup is across the board, all time frames. So that's your US 30. So just be patient. We know at some point we're gonna get a reaction. So if New York opens and price continues to drive down, we're never gonna get an extension to be hit. New AB boundary, we're gonna get a reaction back to the upside at some point on that for the counter move, right? That can eventually fall in line with this longer term move if it holds. Right? So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we get a correction on lower time frames and then one more drive down to this 37 833. Right? That we can't predict, but we shall see. We shall see. So that's the US 30. All right. So let's move on. Take a look at the Swiss crosses as a result of some of the news that came across the wire overnight this morning. So this is our Aussie Swiss play. We're getting a correction, right? So it's taken off for a while to the upside. Now we're getting that move back down. We got a stochastic on the daily that's grinding its way back into the buy zone. So here we are on the
Serious?
here we are on the 4, right? And we're looking for that move back down, right? Counter move, which we got it to move back. So we're coming in at that support at 59.92. We'll see if we break that level, but this 4-hour stochastic is back into the buy zone, right? So be cautious as we come back into this B boundary and at this daily support. Okay, so it's moved quite a ways already. Good rejection off that 60.98 resistance level. So we'll see, right? I would love to buy the Aussie Swiss again, but of course I wanted to be in my buy zone. All right, so if you're counter trend trading this move to the downside, just know we're coming into this 59.92 level, and we might get held up there. Maybe it creates a pullback and then a continuation down. All right, so nice correction from the Swiss franc news. We needed that to happen. You took this on the 4K. Congratulations. All right. Just manage that trade. Manage that trade to the downside, right? I know it's one that we went over. You made the decision, right? The counter trend traded. Great job. And took it off to 15-minute, dropped some 7s. All right. So just be aware, right? That's been a good setup so far. And like I said, we're coming into this support. So just be cautious on that, right? If you feel like you want to secure the bag a bit on that, do it. I want to see it, like I said, I want to see it move to this low price to buy it, because with the news today, it caused the price action to move to the downside. But Chairman Jordan was just talking about the possibility of. So we'll see. We'll see. Still looking at the Swiss overall long term being weak until they do such a thing as he talked about this morning. Any questions on the Aussie Swiss? Where's my 200? Let's put it on. Right, coming right into that level. Okay. So we can see we're still trending. We've got a 200 that's still trending to the upside, of course, right? Swiss franc has been weak, right? Until we caught the rhetoric coming out of the central bank. So let's continue to watch it. Now, Joe, if we get a break below, right, that 200, then we know that we could continue to correct to the downside.
If
Right?
you got your dash cross on 1 hour. Because I thought I pulled up A chef and I'm looking at E chef.
Oh, okay. But you know, look how that correction, right? It's taking this out. So this is a reset.
Okay.
This is a reset here. So let's see if we got it. Yep. Moving to the downside. Right. So we're moving to the downside. But we were tracking, so that's 4 hours 61.8. So let's see if we can get there. Here's that level. Okay. See if we can move down. But you definitely have it crossing over. I wonder if we get the pull back in the continuation, which is what I really need to happen. On that, I want a really good low price on this Aussie Swiss. So that's that. All right. Past resistance, future support. You are on it, Ann. Good to see you, by the way. Sure. So, all right. This is where we are on the Aussie Swiss. Moving down, we'll take a look at this CAD Swissy, right? And this range. Okay, look here. So we had mapped this out a while ago, and we can see how price is moving up, and then we got trapped in a range. Bottom to top, top to bottom. And if we come here on the 4 hour, we're right back at this 65.99 level. Do we hold and continue back to the top of the range? Okay, so we now have failed to break out again, and now we're right back in this zone. Okay, so I've got the fibs running on it, but this is clearly a range play. So continue to watch this as we have our 4 hour stochastic back in the buy zone. Do we one hour in the buy zone? Do we make the bounce and then continue to the upside? You can use it. You probably can use the channel tool. I don't use it. I'm not too good at using it, Jeremy. So you could use the channel tool that they have for sure. Maybe, right? But it's sideways in the range. That's why I draw the box. Typically, a lot of times your channels will move either to the upside or what am I looking for here? Here we go. So oftentimes your channels will still move, right? in a particular direction. Right? So I look at it as more of a range than a channel, but I don't know, you know, the full functionality of that tool, right? So your channels will typically move something like that, right? Like so.
And then
Yes.
that fan fib is dope though, because I
Is
use
it? I never
yeah,
used that either.
and the
So
reason,
also old school. Y'all ahead of me.
but no, it's like it's nothing but trend line. So I think about the tutorial that you did for like support and resistance off the from trend line to trend to the outer trend line.
Yeah, I'll have to play with it. They've got all types of tools on here, especially um since I've had I listen, I'm old in regards to the smart trader. Like I've I've had it so long, I don't even pay for it anymore. Right? That's how much I done. That's how old school I am. So with these new tools, uh the fan fibs, the channel tool, all that stuff, I am lost. So I am gonna, now that you guys mention it, that gets me curious. So I'm gonna have to get on here and play with it. So I appreciate you guys bringing my attention. I tried to use the channel tool once, but um, I didn't use it anytime after that. But this is typically how your channels are, Jeremy. Right. So still moving in a direction, but you can see how the highs are coming in, and then eventually, right, you break that channel either to the upside or to the downside. Right. And we know sometimes when we get a like a break of a major low, oftentimes we think like, man, sometimes it'll fool us to where we think we're getting a for example, a trend reversal, right? And what it's really just doing is it's just changing the angle in which it's continuing to progress, right, in a particular direction, in this case, to the upside. So sometimes we'll get that breakdown, and then you guys will see price still do this, right? It'll just continue to move up. So how we always talk about the speed and the momentum of the market, right? So you can see here, right, how we were accelerating, and then, right, we had that decline in speed, but then gradually, right, maybe at a slower pace, it's still moving to the upside. So this is more so if I draw channels, it's more so in these scenarios, not so much a sideways range, right? But you can try it though and see if it'll adjust, you know, to a sideways type of price action like we're seeing now. So this here, what I would be looking for is if this is going to hold at this support level again. I was thinking since price moves up and down sideways, then same principle could be applied. Yeah, it can. It's just a matter of whether or not that tool works, right? For the sideways price action, or if it needs to be moving at a particular angle to the up or the down, upside or downside. So I definitely get what you're thinking. So try it out. Try it out for sure. So here we are on this one. We're trying to put in a low on this cat Swiss. It's just a matter if see what happens when New York opens, if that reaction from Chairman Jordan, if that's going to start to subside, and then we see the continuation, right? We always need a fundamental catalyst in the market to push price where we need it to go. And we know that the currencies were making a run against the Swiss franc. It needed to correct. And so we got that catalyst, right? That's why we wanted to cover that report that came out. And so what we want to see is we want to see price show us that it's ready to make an ABCD waves back to the upside. Any questions on the CAD Swiss?
No, sir.
Okay. So just remember, right? The this came as a result of rhetoric out of the SMB. There has been no policy change yet. Okay, this is just on a possibility of. Okay, so we have to think through that. Okay, so when we know this market is driven by emotions, okay, we saw the move. Okay, the emotional move that's created the correction for us. Now, right, once we get our heads wrapped around the data, what's next? Okay, what's next? So that's where we are. Moving on to the Euro Swiss. Right. Look at the correction. Okay. Still overall making higher highs and higher lows. Right, we're coming into this zone. Right, that's stochastic. Will eventually reach that buy zone. Okay, let's see how far the correction goes on this Euro Swissy. But look at here. Right, this is what I'd like to see. We got an ABCD wave completion. Right, A, B, C, D, right? Made that play. Now, we're right here on the 61.8. Okay. Coming right into the sweet spot. Ryan, I am curious with this, what the impact of this June rate cut from the ECB is going to do to this euro.
Yeah, man. I am too. I've been sitting trying to look through and read as much as I can to figure it out. I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I think the rhetoric behind it, regarding if she forecasts more cuts, or if this is just going to be, if she's going to have a hawkish tone, opposed to a dovish one. That's what I'm looking to see. But because what I'm reading is, more and more people are saying what you've been saying, like this will be one and it won't happen again for a period of time. It won't be the start of a consistent trend yet. So I don't know, man. I don't know. This one's going to be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Sure. But I know what, technically, this is in a sweet spot. For
Heck
sure.
yeah.
So we'll see. June is not, we're knocking on the door of June. I don't know exactly what date that is. I'll have to look that up when they're expected to, when that meeting is. I don't know if it's right at the
I
beginning of
believe
June.
it's next week.
Oh, is it next week, right at the beginning?
I believe it's next week.
Joy said it's bouncing off the 200. I mean, I'm still overall bullish against the Swiss franc until they actually step in and do something, right? I appreciate the rhetoric creating a correction though.
Thursday.
Oh, it's Thursday, next Thursday.
Yeah.
Man, that's just around the corner. Look at that. I don't know.
Canada's Wednesday.
I'm gonna have to drop 0.25% on this.
I'm thinking the
Isn't
same
the
thing.
bias to the downside though, Benny, for this one?
No, I've been long against Swiss franc pairs, right? Against Swiss franc pairs, right? So right now, to me, this is a correction, right? So my bias against all Swiss franc pairs since they made the cut, what was that in March, has been long. So we're seeing a correction now as a result of Chairman Jordan and the speech that he gave regarding the possibility of, right. So that's what the daily looks like. I'm trying to come to the determination whether or not it wants to make a continued move to the downside. But even if it does, right, do we still hang? Do we still stay within this 4-hour AB boundary? Stochastics in the buy zone. Daily stochastic is approaching the buy zone. I might not take this outright. Maybe I'll wait for an official load of form on the 4. If we don't break that 200, then I'll take a shot. So now let's talk about this, Donette. Like if you're trading on a lower time frame, a 5-minute, right, 15-minute, that's moving down, right? That looks like a long way, right? If I'm trading a say a 5-minute chart or a 15-minute chart like that, that's moving down. But when you look at the larger time frame, it's just a correction in the uptrend. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Denise, hand raised. Got a question. No, maybe not. Accident. No, okay, got it. All right. So let's move up to the 30.
So Benny, I'm sorry. On that
Mm-hmm.
on the 4-hour on that one,
Mm-hmm.
you would wait for a load of form on that 4
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really being overly cautious. Like this is when I say I think I'm gonna wait for the load of form. But this is right at a 61 up against the 200. You know, if I that's just me using additional confirmation. If I took this out right now and risked a quarter percent, I mean the upside potential on that is huge. I'm not sweating that. You know, if I take that L, if it takes my A out eventually. But this is nice, right? So if you wait for the load of form, you still get a pretty good risk to reward out of that.
Mhm.
You know, if it doesn't take off something crazy, that's what you always risk when you wait for like lows and things like that to form, because these are 4-hour candles. It's like, man, did it just get away from me to the point where I have to put my stop below the C point, you know, to make it work out risk to reward wise.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
So if you wait, like say this is putting in a low candle now. If I get if I get, you know, these 2 candles, for example, you know, moving up, if it gets away from me too much, like say something like this, and then I'm looking to enter, then I'll probably put my stop below that C, right?
Okay.
To keep me on the right side of my risk to reward.
Right.
You know, because sometimes that'll happen. Like the buyers will come in and push you, like, man, like that got away. So then I'll typically put it below that C, somewhere, you know, five pips or so, 10 pips or so below that C, because now I've got a new confirmed support at that point. But this one, if I go a quarter percent, once we close out, I might just put an order on there and to see if it's ready to go. That's why I'm super conservative. That's why I could tell on that Ryan on that Darwin. I know they're multiplying my stuff like times 4 probably. on the
Probably.
on the other side, like I know they're probably like this dude, but that's just how I am because I can add to the position later. But that's that's setting up pretty nicely there. Like if I take that trade and lose that one, I'm not losing any sleep over it. So that's the Euro Swissy. Because if it does, it take the L, then I'll catch it. I'll catch it again at some other point. Maybe looking at it, if it pushes lower and it takes out, say it takes out your A on the 4, then I'll be turning to this daily to see it in the buy zone, and then I'll probably take the setup off the daily once it hits a daily low, because I'm still just bullish against the Swiss franc. Like I said, I'm looking at this as a correction only at this point, not a trend change. But if you're on the 30-minute, the 5-minute, right, that's moving down, right? So a bit of a different perspective. I just know from the higher time frame it's a correction, right? But you're making down ABCDs on your lower time frame, right? Because of that. But at some point, even on your 5 or your 30 or your 15, this is going to be reversing out. If it's meant to stay bullish, right, which is what I'm thinking, it's going to be reversing out, and eventually it'll be getting long. So it's all on your perspective and what time frame you're trading on. Okay, so Danette, I agree with you in that sense that the bias is bearish if you're on those lower time frames, right? Shorter term move though. So waiting for the low to form, confirm on a higher time frame is additional confirmation entering a trade. It seems like new concept to me, even though I heard y'all say before. Yeah, that's if you play that. Now, for example, if you have buy limit set here, then that trade is active. And that is what it is. Like that's your approach to the market, which I have no problem with that, because if your overall direction is right, if your overall direction is right, your bias is correct, we know we're leaning bullish, then if you've got a buy limit that just activated, that's fine. That's fine. You've worked out your risk management. We know we typically trade lower risk, right? With the buy limits. Maybe you have it at the 61.8, you've got it at the 786, and you're just gonna let it float. Right? Over time, that edge is gonna play out. This is your trade, right? For example, if on this previous fib, if I had buy limit set there at the 61.8, 786, I won that trade. I won big on that trade, actually. So that's that. The pound Swissy. So we know, right? We've been long. Okay, now we're seeing that correction. Patience pays. I get it. Yep. Even though I do think I am gonna put in a order on that when we get out of here. I don't know if I'm gonna wait for that load of form on that. Things seem to be lining up pretty good. So here we are on a daily. Past resistance becoming future support. Okay. So let's see what happens. We're still moving down. That daily stochastic is not in the buy zone yet. We do have a new daily candle that formed. I mean, a new daily high that formed here. Reset. Yes, Reese. Yes, that you posted playing out so far, right? Got dropped you some sevens in that chat for that, man. Indeed. Indeed. We appreciate that. For sure. A man is on it. So it's correcting now. Right. And you can see how this is this pound Swissy. Okay. Ultimately on its way to that 4-hour D extension. But look at how we're breaking, right? Right. Look at how this is going. Look. The pullback here. So at some point, we just want to see a higher low, whether it's here at this monthly level. Okay. Maybe it pushes lower in the zone. We know that support and resistance just aren't lines on the chart, they're zones. Right? We already had, it kind of makes sense with that correction because on the 1 hour, our smaller wave, look at that. But look at what we also had. Okay. We had an ABCD wave completion, smaller wave on a 1 completed, new B boundary formed, pushed up to the 80-20 zone, and we're moving right back down. Okay. So the question is, do we hold it at 115.03 or do we move lower? Again, right? We talked about this during our weekend session, right? Do we, it depends on the chart that you trade, how you're playing this, right? If I'm on a 4-hour chart, right, this is a pullback and a correction, right? This is my move. I'm already far along in my trade. Do we hold here? Do I add to my position to the D extension? Whereas if I'm a 1-hour chart trader, I've had an ABCD, I've had a 180-20 that already played out that moved into a C to D push, right? Counter trend, 80-20 down to our sweet spot, buy, C to D. And now, if I'm on my 1-hour chart trading, and that's my chart, I've got an 80-20, right? Moving to the downside. And if I'm waiting to buy it, if I want to buy it, then I want it to move into my buy zone. We'll see if we get that. If it reacts, if I trade the 1-hour charts and it reacts and just takes off from here and goes to the D extension, and I was waiting for a buy at my 61.8 zone, then I just missed that trade, right? Your zones are your zones, okay? So if you're trading with the trend and you say, oh, I'm waiting for it to fall to the 61.8 deeper, 50% maybe, right? And I don't get that, then you don't get it. It is what it is. On to the next one. Any questions on this pound Swissy? This is how the market moves. No denying that. We just have to be patient. Patient. That's what gets me in trouble when I'm not patient. When I'm sitting around and clicking through the charts and there's 4 days, 5 days that goes by and I don't have a setup. I have to remind myself, like, well, you're a swing trader. You probably shouldn't have one. Okay? You probably shouldn't have one. So we'll take a look at it. Look at the corrections here that's going on, right? And we'll see, right? So we'll look at the one here, NZD Swissy. Okay. Do we make this U-turn here? Or do we make one drive lower? If you're a 1-hour chart trader and this is your sweet spot, 61.8, then you may be in that trade already. You never look back once the trade is commenced. Your sweet spots are your sweet spots. If that moves lower and takes out your A, then that's just when you take the L on. You already calculated your risk, no big deal. All right. Take a look at this on the 4. $80-20. Playing out. That happened across the board on these Swiss pairs. Crazy, right? Patterns. Patterns. Right? So on your 4-hour chart, you may be playing at 80-20. If you're a 1-hour chart trader, you may be trying to buy this right now. Okay. That's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. I'm gonna have to leave it right there. Ryan, anything before we close out this morning? Good session, everybody.
No, sir. Great session, bro.
All right. All right. Any questions, anybody? Thanks, everybody. Appreciate the feedback. Continue to be patient. Wait for your zones. Don't rush it. Don't be like me, right? Especially in the past, where if I'm trading a 4-hour chart and I'm clicking through all my pairs and I don't see not one setup, well, let me go down to the 15. Let me go down to the 5, right? Because I'm getting impulsive. Don't do it to yourself, right? If your trade plan says, hey, I'm only going to trade, I'm going to mark my top-down analysis from top to bottom, and the 1-hour chart is where my fibs are going to be, and I'm only going to trade the 1-hour chart in regards to looking for my sweet spots, then stick to that. Trust me, it'll stop you from getting whipsawed all over the market. If it's not there, it's not there. Yes, there are going to be days where we click through these charts, and it is 100% boring because there are no setups. But that's when you know the trading is going to be good, right? The trading is going to be good. Sometimes trading can be like watching paint dry. It's all right. That's all right. Okay. We're money managers. Our first job is to preserve capital. If the setups aren't there on your chart, they're not there. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your day. See you back here tomorrow, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the pre-New York session. Bye for now.